Do you want to know how to onboard SMMA clients? Are you using Gohighlevel and looking for an automated Gohighlevel onboarding process to get your clients up and running in lightning speed? I'm going to show you all that, plus our agency's just about 100% automated onboarding process in this video. Hi, I'm Tom, and I run a multiple profitable six-figure digital marketing agency. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we've just about completely automated our new client onboarding process, a process that used to take us about a week to get a new client up and running from when we sign the initial agreement to getting their campaigns live, and how we can literally do that in a matter of hours. Really, the only limiting factor is how long it takes for our clients to get the information back to us so we can get them all set up. If you stay till the end of this video, I'm going to show you how you can get all of our templates, our funnels, and step-by-step tutorials on how you can fully automate your agency's client onboarding process. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what I'm going to cover in this video. First, I'm going to show you how we've automated sending out the client or agency agreement, the contracts, if you want to call it that, with a simple click of a button, how we take payment up front on the call, how we send out a automated welcome email with a link to a custom client drive or folder on our Google Drive that's automatically created, and we create a unique URL that we share with the clients where they can upload their assets. Our onboarding funnel, which walks them through step by step what they need to do to get themselves fully onboarded, and part of that is having them fill out a onboarding form with all the questions that we need to get all the information to set them up successfully. How we fully automate the creation of a Gohighlevel Subaccount for them, where they can obviously log in, manage their pipeline, manage their contacts, follow up with them, etc. If you don't know what Gohighlevel is, that's no problem. I've got a link in the description that'll go over what Gohighlevel is and my full Gohighlevel review. How we automatically create users in our Gohighlevel Subaccount, even if their email address has been used in Gohighlevel before. Next, I'm going to cover how we automatically create a client project in ASANA with every little task that needs to get done to get them fully launched, as well as automatically assign who has to do what and by when. And finally, how we automate the launch call process and get our clients up and running fast. So let's get right into it. So real quick before we get started, here is a list of my tech stack. This is all the different tech that I'm using to complete my onboarding process. We have Gohighlevel, ASANA, PandaDoc, or SignRequest. We also use that. Slack, Stripe, Zapier, Google Suite, the Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Forms, and Google Drive. You'll find links in the description to all this tech. I want to get into detail on the different steps in the process, what that looks like from both the agency side and the client side. Like, what does the client see throughout this whole process? What's their experience look like? And I'll show you what we see on our end. So you'll see on this diagram, this flow chart, it's kind of 4 rows, right? So there's 4 main actions or trigger events that kind of kick all this off. The first one is when we move the contact in our CRM Gohighlevel, the opportunity to closed one, and specify which contract, and I'll show you that in a second. That kind of kicks off the whole onboarding process. And the first stream of tasks that's going to kick off is sending out the agreement, adding them to our payment processor. There's a couple different ways that we can do that. I'll show you the way that I do it. I'll show you an easier way that you can do it. I just haven't set it up yet. But in my template that I have for you guys in the description below, you'll have access to that funnel and that setup. And then lastly is creating some pre-enrollment tasks in ASANA so we can track the payment and the signature on the contract, make sure we're getting that back. So let's dig right into it. The first thing I want to show you is Zapier. So I'm going to click over to Zapier, and you'll see right here it says Opportunity 1 in Gohighlevel. So this is going to be what kicks it off. This is basically a webhook. So in Gohighlevel, when we move that opportunity to closed one, it's going to execute a webhook, send that data into Zapier. And then what Zapier is going to do is add that client's information to a pre-enrollment database, something that we use later on. It's going to create a customer in Stripe. It's going to find the pre-enrollment section in ASANA. Okay, it's a project, and ASANA is going to find that. And based on which contract we're choosing in high level, for this purpose, we're going to use month-to-month agreement. What we're going to do here is calculate the total price, add that to the contract, the agreement, send that off to the client. We're going to duplicate a pre-enrollment task, update the task with the client's information on there, and update the spreadsheet row, add PandaDoc ID number. And what we're going to do later on is once they sign the agreement, we're going to go find that ID number and then pull in that signed agreement and add it to the client's Google Drive folder. So let's pull up the CRM, Gohighlevel, and I created a dummy contact in here, Daisy Duck. And so essentially when I'm on the sales call, I'll have this window open, and when I got their confirmation that they want to move forward, what I'll do is pull up this tab, enter their business information, their billing address, put all that in there, and I'll enter in the setup fee, the monthly retainer, payment terms, who the account manager is, and who the media buyer is. Once I have all that in, the next step for me really is to move that opportunity to the close one stage, and I can simply do that by coming to our pipeline view. In this case, they'll be in the demo booked stage, and all I'd simply have to do is slide that contact from demo booked to 1 month to month. Now right there, that's got to start triggering off this Zap. Okay, so what are we doing? Adding them to our database, and I'll show you what that looks like. You'll see, boom, Daisy Duck, she was added right there. Next, it's creating a customer in Stripe and creating the pre-enrollment. It created this task right here in ASANA. And all this is doing is assigning it to me to make sure, hey, let's make sure we get the agreement signed, send it out to the client, send out the invoice, follow up on the client signing it, and follow up on the payment. Just reminders, sometimes they don't do it right away. You know, there's always that case, but I always try to get the agreement signed and paid on that initial call. So once that is all done, it's actually creating the contract and sending it to the client. And then the next thing that we want to do while the contract's being sent is I want to take payment right over the phone. So what I do is log into Stripe. It would add a customer in here. I'd pull them up and just type in the credit card information. Now, there's a second way that you can do it. Makes things a little easier. Is you can create a funnel inside of Gohighlevel and have this sales entry form, right? So you basically have all the information I just showed you that I already had laid out. If you didn't want to enter it directly into the CRM, you can enter it into this form, right? And then you click on submit, and it will bring you to a payment page. It'll pull in all the information from the previous page, and all you got to do here is go to step 2 and enter the payment information, complete order. So you can see it pulls in the price. It's got the service right there. You hit complete order. Client would pop up in here, and it would bill them. So let's pop over and see what the client sees, right? So you'll see right here times 948. So that was sent 3 minutes ago. It's 9:51 right now. It says Thomas Pacheco sent you a document, Daisy Duck agreement. So we want to open the document. So this is what the client is going to be seeing. And you'll notice that it has all the client's information already in here. Name, company name, email, phone number, full address. And then we just outline, we give an overview of what we do, the different services that we're offering, just recapping what we told them on the sales presentation, go over some rules to success, a little note from our team, and then we get right into the terms of service, which is I highly suggest you have in there, all the payment terms. And then look, we have the payment table. So this is all pulled in from our CRM from Gohighlevel. So our monthly retainer is put in there, the setup fee, it adds it up. This was what we did in Zapier. We added those two numbers together in Zapier, puts that $2,000 in there, and then the client can sign it. They sign the agreement. Next, we're going to create a client folder on our Google Drive under our main clients folder. And then within that folder, there are subfolders, and I'll show you what that looks like. One of those subfolders we create is what we call client headquarters. And that is a folder that we share with the client in the welcome email. We're going to create a project in ASANA for that client. In that project, we're going to outline all the tasks that my team needs to execute to get that client launched and get their campaign live step by step. It's also going to assign who needs to do what and by when. And some of those tasks will have due dates from contract signature. Some of those tasks are assigned due dates once a launch call is scheduled. So it actually will schedule when the launch call is, right? So there's actually a task for the launch call in the project. We schedule that when they schedule the launch call, and the date the ads go live, that's scheduled 1 day later after the launch call. So that's all in the ASANA project. We send a Slack message to our team saying, hey, we just got a new client. Congratulations. We add the client to our client database, and then we send a welcome email with a link to our onboarding funnel. Okay. And then after we send the welcome email, we follow that up with a text message just so they can confirm that they actually received that welcome email. Sometimes it ends up in spam. We want to make sure that they don't miss that email because it's very important in order to kick off the onboarding process. So let's dig right into it. I'm going to sign the agreement for Daisy Duck, and I'm going to try to do my best and go through all these different tasks. But before I do that, let me go back into Zapier and show you what the Zap looks like for all those steps. And I'll try to pull them up live. Okay, so you can see the agreement signed by the client. We're going to look them up in the pre-enrollment database. We're going to create a new client ID for them, format the date that they signed the agreement. We're going to format the client's first and last name, just some formatting and the different things that we have here. And then we're going to start creating the client folder. So we're going to create the client folder, basically the client's name, and we're going to create a folder, a subfolder in that client headquarters. We're going to update the sharing settings. That way anybody with that link can access it. That way I don't have to worry about what I used to do is have my VA go in, add my client as a user in there. Now I just make that, change the share settings so anybody with that link can access that folder. The client's the only one I share that folder with, so it doesn't really matter. So we create all these different subfolders in there. We'll see that happen live. We're going to duplicate our template project in ASANA, start assigning and creating tasks in ASANA, send the Slack message saying, hey, we just won this client. We're going to create a client channel in Slack that we can then have updates on what's going on with that client and communicate with the client in Slack. We invite the users to Slack, add them to our client database, and then there's a couple of things that we're going to do here is we're going to update that contact in Gohighlevel. Let me show you what this looks like real quick and what we're doing here. Whenever I update anything in Gohighlevel, I just do it with one field. So I do it with the email, and I only enter the fields that I want to update. So here we're going to add them to our client onboarding pipeline. So they were in my sales pipeline. Now I'm going to move them over to my client onboarding pipeline. And the stage that I'm moving into is a client agreement signed. So you'll see that happen. And then the other thing we're going to add in is the client ID number and the Google Drive link that we just created for them. And the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I'm adding this information in there is because I have a workflow that sends them the welcome email and includes the client ID number and a link to the Google Drive that we just created. So those are custom fields in Gohighlevel that will pull into the welcome email. So I wanted to show you that. Next, we're going to update the contact in Gohighlevel. And basically what I'm doing here is just adding some tags. That way we can trigger the new workflows. So if we come down here and you can see right here, tag is welcome. That's basically saying, all right, let's send them the welcome email and start rocking and rolling. So I just wanted to share that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and click on sign right here, accept and sign. I'll date it today and then finalize it. Now that's going to start the whole onboarding process. So let's jump over here. There it is right here. She just popped up, 1038 Daisy Duck. If I open that, you'll see there's a Daisy Duck headquarters. Give it a second, you'll see some additional folders popping up in there. So now we have our onboarding docs. And give it another minute because there's actually subfolders in here and files that it's copying over. So if I actually open that up, oops, you'll see it copied those 3 files over, those templated files. It created this one here, campaign management and tracking. Inside that one, we have our fulfillment HQ. That's basically our KPI sheet. We have ad creatives, our weekly reports, so it automatically creates a template for that. We have contracts and agreements. So this will actually pull in the signed contract from PandaDoc, which you can see right here. There it is. I'll just pull that up real quick so you can see lead generation, conversion, proposal. There it is, signature certificate, signed by Daisy Duck. That's saved under the client's folder. And then right here is the Daisy Duck headquarters. So this is actually the shared file that we send to the client. So they can, if they have like customer lists, they can upload it here. We use this one a lot. We use clients' photos in our campaigns. They can upload their logos, brand guides, and any videos in here. That's also a great place. So like if we have anything we want to share with them. And the reason why we use that is because we used to have it sent to email. Then we have like my email address, the support email. It's getting lost in the inbox. Now it's just in one spot. And then in our client database, which I'll pull up right now and show you, she should have been added to the client database. There she is, Daisy Duck. We have everything linked in here. So there's a client folder, contract folder, a client brief, okay? And basically what that is, it pulls in all the information from the onboarding form, stores that in there. Everything that we need to know about the clients, all in the client database, okay? So let me go back and click on ASANA, and we should have a new person right here, Daisy Duck. There's her project, and you can see every single task right here. Set up ASANA project, follow up an onboarding form, delivery on onboarding. So all our tasks, launch call, Facebook ad campaign, set up high level, all these tasks are in here. And once the onboarding form is complete, you'll start seeing assignees added here along with due dates. So now we want to go back into the CRM and check to see that welcome email was sent out. So I'm going to come in here and you can see there it is, Daisy Duck. Here's the welcome email that got sent out. And if I click on, if I refresh the screen, we should see that welcome tag on there, which kicked off that welcome email. And there it is, the welcome tag. So you get the welcome email. And then there's a text. Daisy, we just sent you welcome email with onboarding instructions. If you don't see it, check your spam folder. Reply yes if you got it. Client replies yes. Then we have an auto reply back saying, hey, congratulations. We're excited to get you started. Let's log into Daisy's email. Pull up that welcome email that we just sent over. So there it is, welcome. So you can see at the top, there's the client ID number. That's dynamic, a dynamic field. The client headquarters, which is that Google Drive link that we just created that I showed you. So if they click on that, they'll be able to pull it up and add their stuff into it. And it says, Daisy, welcome to our agency. Got a little letter there and basically says set aside 30 to 45 minutes today to start the onboarding process. Now right below that we have this button that says click here to start the onboarding process. And what we do is send them to our onboarding funnel, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So this is our onboarding funnel. It has 10 steps. First step is just a welcome message. So it's basically this is nothing more than just a welcome email for myself. You can see me talking over here and kind of explaining what to expect. Make sure you go through all the steps in order. So when they click on next step, it'll come down to step number 2, onboarding form. There's a link to access the onboarding form here. There's a video that I explain how to fill that out. Sometimes I'm asking for area codes. They put in zip codes in there. I don't want that messed up. So you can see here's our client onboarding form, collecting all the pertinent information that we need to set them up in our systems. Okay, so there's that information, and I don't want to fill that out just yet because that's going to kick off the next series of steps in the onboarding process. So we have the onboarding complete, and what that's going to do is create the Gohighlevel Subaccount. using a predetermined snapshot. And a snapshot in high level is basically a template in the CRM with all the campaigns, all the automations, and how you want everything set up in there. We create a user. And one of the things for people who are using high level that's a pain in the ass is if you go to create a user in high level and they've used their email address with somebody else on the high level platform, that user is not going to be created with that email. So you have to modify the email or use a different email address. Well, in my Zap, I have a step that will check to see if their email is available. If it's not, it will modify the email and use that to create the username. It's really, really cool. And then it's going to give them membership access with login instructions. So we have a membership site where they have some training. So within Gohighlevel, you can actually create memberships like Kajabi and have trainings for your clients, or for, if you have a course, you can create a course inside High Level and sell that. We're going to create the client brief, which is basically a Google Doc in the client folder where we populate all the information that they filled out from the onboarding form, and we have it linked throughout our ASANA project for easy access. And it's going to auto check off or complete the pre-enrollment tasks, and then it's going to start assigning tasks in ASANA to the appropriate team members. So let's check this out. What I'm going to do is fill out this onboarding form. Look, it's asking me for the client ID, so I need to go back to my welcome email and start off with that client ID, which is this right here. I'm going to fill this out. Okay, so we have the client unique ID number in there. All the information is filled out. Okay, so here's our onboarding Zap. And this is fired off when the onboarding form is filled out. Zapier is going to trigger this Zap and execute like 30 different tasks. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to look up the client record in the client database, and that's based on the client ID number that they filled out at the top. We're going to look up the client record in the client GHL user database. That's something else that I have there, where I keep a separate database of all the users and Gohighlevel with the user IDs and what have you. I use that because we use the APIs and we needed that information. So I highly recommend you create a separate user database where you can store the user's name, email, phone number, the user ID, location ID, the API key, all that kind of information, because you do need that with the steps that I'm going to show you in this Zap. Next, one of the issues that I found with High Level was when I set up the API to create a sub account, it was always adding central time in there. It wasn't dynamic. So what I did was, based on the address, what we do here is we link this up with Google API, and we look up the longitude and latitude. The first one is Google APIs. It's called geocode. Have this URL right here. You put in the address, city, and state, and your API key will go there. And then this one is getting the current time in seconds, and then the time zone. This time zone one is another Google API, I believe. It is, and this one is just called time zone. So you want to look that up in your Google API developer section, whatever that's called. We use the output of that step as the time zone when we're creating the sub account in High Level. Okay, now you're going to see from there we're going to create the sub account in High Level. Okay, so we use the API to do this. So it just is basically a webhook. We're going to post its locations is the URL, and this is the format that we use. You specify the snapshot ID. I do have a separate Zap that I execute, runs, and it pulls all the snapshots out of my agency account and tells me what the ID numbers are, because there's no way to extract the snapshot ID number directly from High Level. You have to use the API to find that ID number. The account's created, and then we're going to create the user. I have a few other steps in here that I'll explain in another video. I'll show you how to do this. If you watch to the end, I'm going to show you how to get access to all my Zaps and tutorials and how to set this all up. But in there, basically, we try to create a user. If we're not successful, it will modify the email address and create that user with that modified email address. And then from here, it says add onboarding form data to the client brief. That's where we update the client brief with all the information from the client onboarding form. And I'll show you live what that looks like. And then we start updating the tasks in ASANA. If the user is created, we're going to execute these steps right here. So we're going to send a message in Slack saying that the account was set up. We're going to update the spreadsheet or the client database with the Gohighlevel location ID and the main target city and state that they specified in the onboarding form. We're also going to add in the location ID, API key, and GHL user ID into the GHL user database that I explained earlier. And then here is just another step where we're going to update the contact in Gohighlevel and give them access to the training section. All right, here, CRM access, launch, and then client. So those are the 3 tags that we're using. Those execute automations within Gohighlevel to give them an email with instructions with their username and password. It gives the launch, gives them access to our membership site where they can access the training. So that's what's going to happen. So let's go ahead and start this automation by filling out that onboarding form and submitting it. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And right here, this is going to redirect me back to my onboarding funnel. And it should bring me here. And then I'm going to go to schedule my launch call. Okay, and I'm not going to do that just yet. We want to see that the account was created in Gohighlevel. So we're going to pop back over to Gohighlevel. And I'm going to search for Daisy. And there it is. There's the account. It was created. So let's go ahead and pull that up and verify that the user was created for this. So I'm going to come over here to settings, go over team management, and boom, the user was created with the email. You can see that's all in there. Oh, let's check the client brief, right? So let's go over here, onboarding docs and client brief, and we can see, look at this. All the information from the onboarding form is in the client brief. All right, and next in the onboarding process, we had just to mark complete some tasks in Asana and update some due date. If we go into Daisy Duck's project, you'll see over here now we have like the GHL setup, the Facebook ad campaign setup. It's assigned to the appropriate person with due dates now. Launch call, we haven't done that step yet. That'll be next. So when the client schedules a launch call, what happens from there? So from the launch call, when they schedule the launch call, we're going to assign it in Asana. We're going to update the client database with the launch call date, update the ads go live date, assign Asana task to update the KPI tracking sheet, and assign recurring campaign tasks. So just basically updating the project due dates for the remaining tasks associated with that client. So let's go ahead and schedule that launch date, that launch call. So I want to pop back over to this window here. And so just the rest of this onboarding funnel is really cool. So once the onboarding form is complete, they go to the next one here and they would schedule their launch call. And by default, I have at least 3 business days blocked off. So you can see today's the 13th. So I have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday blocked off. So we'll go ahead and just put this in there at 1 o'clock. We'll have to put Daisy's information and hit book appointment. That's going to schedule it on the calendar. And then next step, send us the photos. And then what we did, so we use, I'm in the real estate, my agency's in the real estate niche right now. And we like to use photos of houses in our client's market. So what we included here in the funnel, the onboarding funnel, is a content guideline. And basically what this does, it kind of outlines the types of photos with examples that we're looking for, and refers back to the client headquarters where they can upload those photos. So I'm going to come back over here. That was the content guidelines. And it's saying refer back to your welcome email to upload those photos. I showed that to you before. Next is a step showing them how to log into the CRM. So it's got the link there. It says refer back to the email, login access and next steps. Okay, so now we have 2 additional emails. So I have email with training portal access. So it's got my username and email for the training portal, which I'm going to be changing because now there's a new link that you can share. They just click on that link and it brings them right in. They don't have to worry about putting the password in. And we have the second email with their login credentials to get into the CRM. So that's in there as well. So let's go back into ASANA. You can see the rest of the dates are filled out for the remaining tasks. So there you have it. That's our agency's complete automated onboarding process. If you like the video, go ahead, hit that like button. Give the algorithm a little bit of juice so more people can see this video. And if you haven't yet, go ahead, subscribe to our channel as we're going to be putting out more content to help you with your sales and marketing, automate and scale with new videos each week. So in the comments below, let me know, what does your tech stack look like? What are the steps in your onboarding process? And is it automated? If you'd like to grab a copy of all the templates, the onboarding funnels, my snapshots, my Zaps, contract templates, emails, step-by-step tutorials on how to set this all up, click the link below and I'll share with you how to get access to all that and more so you can start automating your client onboarding process.